Hi, this is Dan Stewart for your NORAM Asset Management Market Update, Thursday, August 26, 2010. Well, the Dow broke 10,000. The Dow ended up down 74 to 99.85, the S&P down 8 to 1047, and the NASDAQ down 23 to 2118. They broke through some important support levels. The Dow and the S&P both ended up percentage-wise down 0.75%, and the NASDAQ was down 1%. Volume on the New York was 3.9 billion. Preliminary numbers on the New York Stock Exchange showed that volume was at 3.9 billion. NASDAQ was 1.6 billion. Gold was down $3.50 to $12.35. Silver was down 6 cents to $18.97. Oil was down 97 cents to $73.46. The strange thing, copper was actually up over $1, or 2.5%. On the currency front, the US dollar was down against the euro, the pound, and the yen. And treasuries, 5 years 1.38%, 10 years 2.5%, and 30 years 3.5%. 3.5% for 30 years of risk. I don't know about you, but I'll pass. The survey of the jobs report came out. The actual number was 473,000 initial jobless claims filed. The survey was for 490, so we actually beat estimates. However, the market had a brief rally for a short time and then rolled over. Over in Europe, it was a different story. The markets were up. The Euro Stoxx 50 were up 0.75%, and most of the countries were up between 0.75% and 1%. Switzerland was down only 0.5%. And Europe was reacting on our favorable jobs report. I guess they closed before they actually had time to analyze it closer. In Asia, it was up mostly marginally, with the exception of Japan that was up 2/3. Singapore and Hong Kong were just marginally down. Asia was reacting to the sell-off of the yen the day before. Remember, I told you that the yen was actually stronger against the dollar today, but they're ahead of us by over 12 hours. So their market news reacts to the day before. And the day before, the yen sold off against the dollar. Therefore, most of the Asian countries were up. Tomorrow, the all-powerful, the almighty GDP number is coming out. The survey is for 1.4%. Remember just a month ago, the economists and politicians were talking about GDP growth was still over 2%. So they now have massaged that number down to 1.4 because they're hoping it'll come out above that. If it does, we might get a brief 2 or 3 day rally, but then reality will set back in. It's time to be defensive. If, however, the number comes down below 1.4%, all bets are off. Look out. This has been Dan Stewart for your NORAM Asset Management Market Update, Thursday, August 26, 2010.